He nearly lost his head, quite literally, and fans across the internet erupted in disbelief. The hero of one of the hottest Shonen Jump titles almost met a shocking end. But in a twist fit for the wildest manga storyline, he emerged unscathed through a so-called tunnel effect, and that single development has sparked one of the most unexpected memes in recent anime history. What is really going on behind this bizarre phenomenon? And how does it connect to a wave of playful ridicule from fandoms worldwide? Today, we are going to delve deep into the curious scandal of Sakamoto Days' most controversial plot device, and unravel how this meme storm might actually help push the series into unprecedented popularity. In this video, we will dissect the logic, if we can call it that, behind surviving a perfect decapitation strike, examine why the anime community is relentlessly teasing this Shonen Jump blockbuster, and look at whether this incident sets the stage for the biggest boost in the series' history. Picture this. You have a former hitman turned humble convenience store owner named Taro Sakamoto, a lightning-fast clairvoyant named Shin, a fortune teller capable of bending probabilities called Atari, and a cunning antagonist named Uzuki, whose lethal blade arrives with terrifying precision. In chapter after chapter, Sakamoto Days has escalated its action, weaving comedic relief seamlessly into breathtaking John Wick-style sequences that keep fans glued to the panels. Then, without warning, the biggest cliffhanger imaginable lands. Shin gets his neck slashed, and there seems to be no escape. Readers brace themselves for an emotional farewell, or at least a savage game-changer. But in the very next installment, we realize Shin has been saved by a phenomenon so random, so bizarre, and so improbable that it makes typical anime power-ups look practical by comparison. Yes, we are talking about the infamous tunnel effect, an element borrowed from theoretical physics and twisted into a ludicrous plot device by the eccentric writing of Sakamoto Days. To clarify for those just tuning into the madness, the tunnel effect is historically a concept in quantum mechanics, something to do with particles slipping past seemingly insurmountable barriers. In real-world science, it is extremely unlikely we would witness it on any meaningful scale, let alone have it protect someone from a lethal sword blow. But apparently, Sakamoto Days saw that concept and said, "Let's go for it." The fortune teller, Atari, shows up out of nowhere to burn through her last vestiges of good luck, enabling Shin's neck to phase through Uzuki's blade, leaving him perfectly intact and more confused than ever. Fans, of course, wasted no time pouncing on this development, and the resulting internet mockery has manifested in countless memes, jokes, and comedic retellings. You might ask, what drives an entire community to pounce so fiercely on a single scene? Sakamoto Days, conceptually, was always meant to be fun. It is a manga with comedic underpinnings and a willingness to bend logic for the sake of high-octane action or a hearty laugh. Yet this particular stunt goes beyond the usual comedic leaps of faith. Critics claim it is just too convenient, too random, too much of a deus ex machina to ignore. Even Shin, who experiences this reality-bending phenomenon firsthand, is left speechless by his improbable survival. But the anime and manga fandoms at large have gone further. They have taken to social media to poke fun at the idea that anything can be undone simply by invoking the tunnel effect. Characters from other series, both comedic and dead serious, are now the butt of jokes along the lines of, why didn't they just tunnel effect their way out of that lethal situation? Interestingly, the wave of memes is reminiscent of a notorious example from a different Shonen Jump giant, the "Nah, I'd win" meme from Jujutsu Kaisen, which erupted after a particular set of panels overshadowed everything else with its brazen attitude. But while that meme was largely celebratory, fans used it to highlight the unstoppable aura of certain characters. The Sakamoto Days tunnel effect phenomenon arises more from pure ridicule. In many corners of the internet, entire threads are dedicated to reenacting famous scenes from other anime, replacing pivotal moments of death or destruction with comedic references to quantum phasing. The entire scenario has become so widespread that even non-manga fans have started hearing about it, a testament to the power of viral memes in modern pop culture. Now, you might be wondering how the series' creators and official channels are reacting. Thus far, there has not been a mainstream apology, clarification, or comedic admission that everything was planned as a joke. Instead, Sakamoto Days continues forging ahead with its storyline, leaving the fandom to churn out mocking commentary at every turn. Although the immediate backlash includes people calling the writing sloppy, the reality is that the meme itself has generated a massive surge of online discussion. For any series, especially one that is jockeying for position among Shonen Jump's top titles, the worst scenario would be total silence. Instead, Sakamoto Days sits at the center of a raging storm of chatter, jokes, satirical videos, and comedic montages. Every time someone references the tunnel effect as an all-purpose technique, more people learn that the phenomenon is lifted from Sakamoto Days. And guess what? That is precisely how smaller series can scale the popularity ladder. It may sound backwards, but in our social media-driven world, negative or mocking attention can be far better than no attention at all. Let's be real. Many readers, old and new, are curious to see the exact context of this bizarre plot twist. They delve into older chapters, devour the manga from the start, and try to figure out how we went from comedic convenience store hijinks to unstoppable quantum phasing. This curiosity translates to real engagement, fueling online discussions, art, memes, and everything else that can turn a well-loved manga into a phenomenon. And if you are excited by over-the-top storylines that challenge your sense of physics and logic, be sure to drop a like right now, because we are only just getting started with the wonders of Sakamoto Days. Speaking of which, it is crucial to put this comedic turn in perspective by comparing it to the core premise of Sakamoto Days. Our protagonist, Taro Sakamoto, once the deadliest hitman around, has made a valiant effort to retire into a calm, normal life. Yet that simple existence is constantly threatened by assassins, old foes, and dangerous conspiracies from his past. We are used to seeing him juggle daily store activities with bullet-dodging martial arts, all while comedic misunderstandings swirl around him. Shin, Sakamoto's clairvoyant ally, is typically the voice of reason, and the on-the-ground strategist who uses his ability to read minds to anticipate enemies' attacks. So, for Shin to wind up seemingly beheaded, only to remain alive, signals a colossal shift in the dynamic. Yet the comedic approach to explaining his survival may have overshot the usual suspension of disbelief. Nevertheless, fans cannot seem to look away. Once a story dips its toes into truly surreal territory, curiosity compels us to learn more. Did the author do this purely for comedic shock value? Is there a deeper storyline reason that will make more sense in future chapters? Could it have all been part of a grand subversion of classic tropes? Each new detail Sakamoto Days reveals about the tunnel effect, or Atari's ability, might either placate or further amuse the fandom. Either way, this entire fiasco compels readers to keep following the narrative closely. After all, it is not every day you see a nearly decapitated character get saved by a phenomenon that literally allows matter to skip past matter. The comedic possibilities alone could fill entire arcs. Moreover, this bizarre event underscores how Sakamoto Days has grown so rapidly within the Shonen Jump sphere. With My Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen both concluding certain story arcs, Sakamoto Days has been thrust into a more prominent spotlight. Fans starving for explosive action have started turning to this comedic underdog, but absolutely no one anticipated that its biggest moment in the public eye would be the butt of so many jokes. Nevertheless, this might be exactly what the series needs to break through to a larger mainstream crowd. In short, the spotlight is here, and one outlandish plot device may pave the way for the next wave of dedicated readers. While some might be concerned that Sakamoto Days can never shake off the comedic scorn brought on by the tunnel effect, we have to acknowledge how memes have a life cycle. Look at other big Shonen Jump franchises that attracted mockery at various points, only to come out stronger in the end. Attack on Titan faced a wave of jokes about its extreme tonal shifts, but that did nothing to hinder its eventual global acclaim. Similarly, certain Naruto plot devices were relentlessly teased when they first appeared, but over time they became integral lore that fans learned to love and accept. The question is whether Sakamoto Days can harness this attention in a constructive way. In the grand scheme of things, the tunnel effect fiasco might transform into a comedic reference that fans recall fondly in future years. It is reminiscent of those so bad it's good moments that endure in fandom culture. Sakamoto Days might remain forever associated with that one wacky mechanic that let Shin cheat death, but that need not be negative. The modern fandom environment thrives on catchphrases, memes, and viral moments. By leaning into that comedic identity, the series might build a stronger brand than it would as just another action-led title. The comedic factor, particularly when accompanied by top-tier fight sequences, could be precisely what cements the series' place in Shonen Jump history. Some fans have speculated that this entire fiasco is a publicity strategy. They suggest that maybe the author and editorial team recognized the comedic potential of quantum physics in a manga context and decided to unleash it at just the right moment. Whether that is accurate or not, the thunderous reaction from every corner of the anime community certainly suggests that it can boost the series. And if you are as fascinated by these unpredictable moments as we are, go ahead and subscribe for more deep dives into everything from comedic plot twists to mind-blowing story arcs across the anime landscape. Of course, we must not forget that beyond the jokes, a real storyline consequence still hangs in the balance. Shin was nearly killed, and that feeling of genuine peril contributes to the tension that Sakamoto Days thrives upon. In the short term, the comedic nature of his survival might overshadow the magnitude of the threat posed by Uzuki. But as the story propels forward, we have seen that Sakamoto Days can handle emotional stakes with surprising tact. Do not be shocked if a future chapter capitalizes on this incident to reveal more about Uzuki's background, Sakamoto's past, or Atari's actual limitations. This is one of the joys of reading a manga with comedic undertones. The storyline often balances heartbreak and hilarity in equal measure. The phenomenon that we are witnessing now transcends mere comedic jabbing. It blends confusion, awe, and exasperation into a single, unstoppable force of internet culture. The tunnel effect stands out so vividly because it is not just a typical moment where plot armor saves a main character. It references an arcane, real-world scientific principle, pushing the suspension of disbelief to new heights. The comedic gap between plausible and absolutely absurd is what drives fans to create memes aplenty. Jokes range from amateurish photoshops of Shin's silhouette phasing through random obstacles to elaborate comedic skits about how any protagonist can now trivially avoid catastrophic injuries, provided they have a friend like Atari. Before we speculate on the fate of the story, it is important to emphasize how Sakamoto Days has carved a niche for itself in a very competitive environment. Shonen Jump is home to many beloved franchises, each with distinct hooks, from the swashbuckling pirate adventures of One Piece to the demon-hunting drama of Demon Slayer. For Sakamoto Days to stand out, it must double down on its unique blend of comedic slice-of-life elements meshed with high-stakes action. The tunnel effect fiasco, ironically, can help emphasize that comedic dimension and differentiate it from the more straightforwardly serious manga around. After all, one of the biggest draws to Sakamoto Days has always been the comedic brilliance of Taro Sakamoto's attempts to maintain normalcy despite his extraordinary past. The entire notion that he used to be a lethal hitman, but now simply wants to provide for his family, creates endless comedic tension. Shin's predicament takes that comedic tension to a new level. The more the series leans into these jaw-dropping moments, the more it sets itself apart. If, on top of that, the creators craft a stirring explanation in future arcs that unifies comedic logic with genuine plot progression, wholehearted acceptance by the fandom is all but guaranteed. We have also seen how fandom culture thrives on communal experiences. When readers joke or rant about a storyline, it generates a sense of collective involvement. Sakamoto Days fans might rally around mockery of the tunnel effect, but in the process, they build a stronger bond and a feeling of community. Even those who were only half interested before might now jump into reading the manga just to understand the full context of these jokes. In short, the mimetic trajectory is performing a valuable service. It is funneling attention to a series that might otherwise have been overshadowed by bigger names. The blowback might be comedic, but the net effect is beneficial. And who knows, maybe we will see other unexpected scientific theories pop up in future chapters, fueling more memes and discourse. Now, some people will inevitably cry foul. But how can Shin's survival carry any meaning if the story can just resort to random quantum hijinks? That is a fair question, and it points to a deeper debate about the role of surprise plot devices in manga. The best answer is that Sakamoto Days does not typically rely on such improbable solutions. In most arcs, battles are won through cunning, skill, or comedic trickery that stays grounded in the established capabilities of the characters. This particular instance is more of a comedic outlier, or perhaps the start of a new storyline that delves into Atari's powers, the mechanics of luck, and the cosmic fabric of the universe. Regardless, Sakamoto Days has enough goodwill from fans that most people are willing to see where this leads, even if they are poking fun along the way. Furthermore, imagine the potential payoff if a future plot beat addresses that the tunnel effect was a once-in-a-lifetime stroke of luck, never to be repeated. That would reinforce Shin's relief and remind us of how precarious his survival really was. Conversely, if the series decides to make the tunnel effect a recurring theme, it might become another comedic hallmark that fans embrace ironically. In either scenario, the conversation around Sakamoto Days grows richer by the day. The unstoppable train of comedic memes merges neatly with actual story speculation, forming a perfect environment for the series to rocket up the charts. The biggest question for longtime followers of Sakamoto Days is how it balances comedic chaos with genuine threat. Uzuki was introduced as a major adversary, not just a gag or a side obstacle. If Shin can so easily slip through lethal strikes, how will we maintain tension the next time Uzuki lifts his blade? That tension can be preserved if the story clarifies that Shin was saved by a miraculous coincidence, a literal once-in-a-lifetime event. The more we learn about Uzuki's motivations and techniques, the more horrifying that close call becomes in hindsight. This tension-laced comedic tone is precisely what Sakamoto Days does best. It keeps you laughing one moment and puts you on the edge of your seat the next, wondering if Sakamoto's life as a convenience store owner is about to unravel at the hands of the underworld. In the end, the tunnel effect meltdown might well be a gift wrapped in comedic packaging. If the storm of memes and jokes introduces a broader audience to Sakamoto Days, the series will only grow stronger. Plenty of fans might initially come just to see that ridiculous moment, but end up staying for Taro Sakamoto's deadpan heroism, Shin's righteous mind reading, and the kooky ensemble of JAA misfits. After all, the hallmark of a great Shonen Jump title is capturing the hearts and imaginations of readers through epic fights, laughter, or downright absurdity. And that is exactly what Sakamoto Days is accomplishing, even if it is doing so in the strangest way imaginable. If you enjoyed this off-the-charts journey through memes, quantum weirdness, and comedic brilliance, please consider supporting our channel so you never miss another deep dive into the wild world of manga. For the moment, we can only speculate on what the future holds. Perhaps the narrative will pivot to reveal explosive truths about Atari's real strength. Perhaps Shin will face a moment of crisis, forced to acknowledge that his brush with death was not a testament to his skill, but just pure cosmic luck. Perhaps Taro Sakamoto himself will have to confront a new wave of assassins, spurred on by rumors that if Uzuki's unstoppable attack could not finish Shin, then maybe new forces need to gather. The possibilities are as wildly unhinged as the nature of this fictional tunnel effect itself. Whatever direction the story takes next, we are guaranteed at least two outcomes: a swirl of hype among fans eager to see how Sakamoto Days will handle the fallout, and a continued barrage of memes from every corner of the internet. Maybe that is the real triumph, when a single narrative twist can spark limitless creativity and comedic banter among fans worldwide. For the Sakamoto Days faithful, none of this changes the core reason they fell in love with the series. It is bright, it is delightfully goofy, it is packed with tense action, and it handles the comedic interplay of everyday life and lethal assassin business with flair. The vanishing slash on Shin's neck is just another headline moment, albeit an unforgettable one. With luck, it might pave the way for the series to become an even more powerful contender in Shonen Jump's ongoing race for top manga supremacy. After all, if the entire anime community is talking about you, even in jest, you are closer to the limelight than ever before. That is a coveted position in a medium where so many new series struggle to break through the buzz. How it will all play out, of course, remains in the hands of the creators and the fans. If Sakamoto Days meets the meme wave with more comedic brilliance and some strong, well-plotted arcs, it could catapult beyond its current standing and become a household name among Shonen Jump's biggest blockbusters. Or perhaps we will witness even more ridiculous applications of the tunnel effect, stoking the fires of internet humor and fueling an unstoppable barrage of parodies. One thing is certain: no one in the manga or anime community will soon forget the day Sakamoto Days took a leap beyond the bounds of sanity and discovered a brand new dimension of comedic possibility.